Hey guys, Griffin here. I am so excited to bring this one to you today, but we are going to go over the Splinterlands economy deep dive. And so I'll be giving a quick overview of what Splinterlands is and why you should play it. And then I'll be talking about all of the currencies in depth, the different types of assets that you can purchase, as well as the in-game shop. And then finally, I'll go over why I like it so much and why I think that it's so successful. What Splinterlands is, first and foremost, is it's a card game. And so you can play and trade all of these different cards. This is my collection that I'm showing off on screen right now. There's different elements that you can choose from: fire, earth, water, the bog standard fantasy type elements. And so it's very similar to Magic the Gathering if you're familiar with that. But the gameplay is a lot different. And so what you'll do is you get a set of rules that appear on screen for each battle, and then you have to choose what cards in your collection would best fit that rule set. And then you have a certain mana count that you have to kind of fit under as well. So you can only play cards that are cost up to that mana count. And then the battle plays itself out and you get to watch if your strategy was effective or not. I think that this is a really fun style of play, and it really affords itself well to mobile too if you're interested in that. They're making the game more and more complex as time goes on as well. So if this doesn't sound as attractive to you as it is to me, then just wait for their land expansion to come out, and it'll add all kinds of extra layers of complexity that they've been talking about. So I'm very excited for that as well. That is one half of Splinterlands, and that is the main reason that you should play it. But one of the reasons that I'm so enamored by it is actually the economy. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, this to me is like a whole nother game that you can play, right? And they've set it up really well so that it's easy for you to get completely absorbed in arbitrage and all sorts of different strategies that you can use to kind of game the system a little bit. And I think that this is really important to keep community engagement and keep their economy going and strong, because there's not like a whole lot of players that play this game so far, only about 40,000-ish. There's some bots and stuff that kind of mess up the calculations. But that community is really active, and you can tell that the economy is a big part of it. Real quick, let's start with the currencies that exist in the game. And so there are these three at the top of my screen on the right here. And so we'll start with credits. Now, what credits are is essentially the ability for you to convert dollars, fiat, into a system that can be used inside of Splinterlands through something like PayPal or Venmo. You can use crypto as well, but this makes it easy for users who are not crypto savvy and don't really know what crypto is to onboard to play the game immediately. And so you can use credits to purchase the Summoner Spellbook, as it's called, which allows you to begin playing the game for actual in-game currency rewards, as well as purchase cards to add to your collection. And so that costs $10, and that's like essentially the price of the game if you want to play it. There's like a little trial version of the game that you get before that. But once you pay your $10, you can have full access to the game and allow yourself to purchase in-game items with credits, things like cards, as well as items in the shop, which we'll discuss later. Credits essentially equal 1,000 credits equals $1 USD constantly. And you can only use credits to buy certain things that exist inside of the Splinterlands game store. So cards and things in the shop are pretty much it. That includes potions and all sorts of different things that they sell from like card packs, but it's fairly limited in scope compared to the next currency that we'll talk about, which is Dark Energy Crystals. Dark Energy Crystals, or DEC, which is this currency here, is used to essentially act as a bridge currency between the US dollar or whatever local currency that you may have and the actual Splinterlands economy. This is pegged at 1,000 DEC is supposed to equal $1. Now, it isn't like credits where it's always that way. It does fluctuate a little bit. And what they've called this is a product pegged currency. And that's a little confusing, but the best way I like to describe it is that they use their in-game shop in order to constantly keep the value of DEC at a certain point, and then they only create more DEC when it is beneficial and when it is needed by burning SPS, which is the last currency that we'll talk about here shortly. This way that they coordinate Dark Energy Crystals right now makes it so that it's fairly stable, but it can still fluctuate a little bit up and down as necessary for the economy to function. You can use Dark Energy Crystals in the same way that you would credits to purchase items in the in-game shop or items that are on the card market, but you can also use them freely on the open market, traded for other currencies, and you can use them for more things inside of the game than what you would necessarily be able to use credits on. For example, there is a whole system for guilds in the game, and I'm part of this guild. But if we wanted to upgrade my guild buildings, then we have to donate dark energy crystals to actually level up the buildings. So there's utility built into dark energy crystals through that. And there's other utility built into dark energy crystals that we're not going to cover here today, because if I covered everything in Splinterlands, it'd take me hours. But that's the overview for dark energy crystals. Now we're going to talk about the last currency on this list, which is SPS. Splintershards. And so this is kind of the governance token for Splinterlands. It's very important. You can use it to vote on proposals that kind of shape the future of the game. And now obviously the devs have to kind of put those in front of you, so it's a little bit limited in what you can vote on, but you get to participate and it's nice. And so you also can stake SPS in order to get rewards, primarily airdrops of more SPS, but you also need staked SPS in the game in order to earn higher rewards. And so SPS is given out at the end of every single battle that you win, and it's variable depending on your rank and what kind of cards you used in that battle. If you had like some gold foil ones that are rarer, then you get more SPS for that win, right? So it incentivizes having a dynamic collection of powerful cards. That staked SPS is what essentially powers the economy for the actual battles that you're playing. And so you can see here, I've got a battle rewards section, and I've got 1.66 SPS waiting for me from my modern wins, as well as 4.6 roughly from my focus chests. And every day you get to complete a set of challenges that the game gives you in order to get a set of chests that could contain things like card packs, more SPS, specific cards that are called reward cards that you can earn. There's a whole bunch of other stuff on this panel that we can get into here in a little bit, but the main idea of SPS is that it is essentially the reward that you get for playing the game. It allows you to vote in the game, and it allows you to accrue passive income through holding it. And so it's a really powerful token. Of the three currencies, it's the most important. Having that out of the way, let's move into assets. And the first asset that I want to talk about is cards. Cards are obviously super important because this is a card game. But beyond that, there's a lot you can actually do with your cards. So let's click into one here. Let's talk about this Phyrexia General. So he's an epic unit, so you can see that by the purple little gem in the center there. He costs 5 mana. He's got 4 ranged attack, 3 speed, 5 health, and some abilities that we're not really going to get into. But what I can do here is I can click on him, and I can either send him to another account, I can list him for sale on the market instantaneously, I can delegate him, meaning I loan him out to someone, I can lock him, or I can just burn it for DEC. So if DEC were really out of peg, like it wasn't at that 1,000 equals $1, then that might make sense for me to burn some cards to get some extra DEC, right? And arbitrage that way. That helps keep the price stable. And you can also rent this card out. So if I wanted to, I could sell this card, right? It gives you a little suggested price here, which is pretty nice if you're trying to list this stuff pretty quick. But I can also rent it out and earn daily passive income by allowing other people to use this card. And there are services here like splex.gg, for example, that allow you to quickly kind of create a system to rent out your cards for yourself, because managing this across a whole bunch of cards is really difficult. And so that's one I would check out if you're looking to rent your cards like full time to make some money. But typically the best way to earn in Splinterlands is by playing. And so you will either want to play or get some kind of bot that plays for you. Obviously, it's better if you play as far as your rewards. Do what you can. And so the fact that I can just list this for sale immediately and check the market and do arbitrage plays, like if I see, for example, this one's listed quite a bit lower than the one above it, maybe I want to buy this and then relist it in the hopes of making a profit. Now, the Splinterlands store will take 5% of each purchase here, but at least by having this kind of instantaneous market system, it keeps things really liquid and it makes it so that you can find a buyer if you have the right price. Unlike with Magic, where you may not ever want to really sell any of the cards that you have because you don't know anybody that wants to buy them and you don't want to go through the hassle of putting them on eBay or anything like that. And so the physical aspect really limits it there. I think that that's what really makes Splinterlands nice, is that they can really have this whole digital economy that is like super beneficial to the end user. And so that's cards in a nutshell. One last thing I forgot to talk about with cards that I just want to briefly bring up. Each card has a level. And so as you get cards, you can combine them into a bigger card. So like if I wanted to combine these, then I would be able to combine these 23 cards into one at level 4. Well, we can go to their stats and we can see, oh, at level 4, he gets a whole new ability, right? And so maybe I want to take him to level 9 because then he gets this ability, or level 10 so he gets more damage, right? And you may think, wow, that seems kind of pay to win. And you're not wrong. However, the idea behind this is that at certain leagues, you can only use a certain max level of card. So like at Bronze League, you can't really use a level 10 card. It's just not possible. The game lowers the level to your appropriate league. So you're not going to ever be fighting somebody with like fully maxed out cards unless you yourself have fully maxed out cards. And so that keeps it a little more fair. And you can still skill up and beat people that have higher level cards. It's just going to be a little more difficult. I really like this system because it incentivizes users to constantly be thinking about how they're going to level up their cards, like if they should put more money into the system or sell other things in order to get this new thing, so that, like, they can max level their deck, for example, in water. So it's really cool to have that sort of meta game dynamic going on. And it just, Splinterlands likes to just add these little layers of complexity. It's like an onion. And so there's all sorts of like really small mechanics that interact in really powerful ways. And that's just one of them, for example. But Splinterlands also has other assets, not just cards. And so real quick, I'll just talk about these, because these items haven't really been as fleshed out as the cards per se. This whole other items market is pretty new. You can buy things like packs from prior expansions that are no longer in print. You can buy packs from expansions that are in print, like Chaos Legion. You can buy land and some other things like titles and totems. I think that's a good time for us to talk about land. And so essentially land is the newest Splinterlands expansion, allowing these land plots that they sold a little over a year ago to be claimable on a big map, essentially, of their in-game world. And they're all going to have different rarities and different abilities. And then you can take the cards that you have in your collection and stake the cards onto the land in order to have them work the land and create resources that you can use to create in-game expendable items that you can use to bolster yourself in the actual battle phase of the game. So there's this whole multi-tiered system that they're creating that allows you to enhance essentially what you're doing inside of the game itself and create new strategic layer on the battles that you're doing. And I just think it's going to be so cool. I can't wait for it to come out. I hope they do a really good job with it. But land plots right now, because they've been out for quite a while, actually generate you some passive SPS as a thank you sort of for purchasing them early. And that's one thing I really like about the Splinterlands devs, is that they really care about the community and they try to right the wrongs that they've done. So like they messed up by pumping the price of DEC way out of whack about a year ago when Chaos Packs launched, without like really understanding that was going to happen. So it was a mistake, and they made sure to kind of rectify that, but without actually reverting the change that they made and ruining the people who had went out there to buy a whole bunch of DEC before it rapidly appreciated, right? Because that could have real monetary effect on people that was unintended. And so they kind of just left that portion up until it had run its course and just made people aware, hey, we're sorry, here's some compensation for it, you know, we're gonna make it right, but we're not going to change what we did because we don't want to hurt more people than we already have, right? And so I like that about them. They also take into consideration, like, you know, underappreciated assets and what they can do to kind of polish the turd a little bit and make sure that people are more, they have enough options to consider to where you're constantly thinking about, oh, well, should I buy this or this, right? There's a lot of things that are attractive in the ecosystem, and they want to keep people guessing at what they should purchase next in order to keep intrigue up and keep engagement up. And so if you're an arbitrage trader and you want to flex into this, I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. There's a lot of opportunity for just buy and hold as well. But if you enjoy the game, I recommend you play it, and that's how you'll get the most out of it at this current moment. That's it for land. Sorry about the little rant there, but the next thing I'm going to talk about is the in-game shop. And so let's get into that really quickly. In the in-game shop, there's quite a bit here that they've been selling recently, because the Chaos Legion expansion, which is the biggest expansion that Splinterlands has had, is been going on for quite a while. Oh, they just hit a huge milestone. They just went over 11 million in the last couple hours. So that's exciting. But Chaos Legion's been out for a little over a year now. And so they have a bit more items in the shop than they normally would. This is a card pack that you can buy for 4,000 DEC or $4. You can take that card pack and open it up and get 5 cards. You can resell it on the market. And in addition to that, you get an airdrop. If you buy a certain number of packs, you get a guaranteed card that is really powerful. They do tiers of airdrops. So it's 1 airdrop per every million packs sold. So in this case, there were 15 airdrops. There are now 4 left after we've just crossed this 11 million threshold. And so as that next million packs is sold, you could get a really new, powerful card for free, essentially, for having purchased these prior packs. It's essentially a promo offering that they're giving out to add value and intrigue to the set. That's something that's really cool that you have to think about. The airdrops have tiered up since they were initially launched. And so like for Bakjira, you had to have, I think it was like 300 packs or whatever in order to get a guaranteed version. But for Conqueror Yasuk, you had to have 500. They tier them up so that by the end of it, you're not necessarily getting as many as you were at the beginning, but because of the way that the packs are distributed and there's not quite as many of them at the beginning, it makes up for that, right? And so I really think they've thought of everything. These guys, because the problem with crypto gaming right now is that the economy design is so hard, because you have to build a good game, which is hard in and of itself, and you have to build a good economy, which is so hard. So it's definitely not for every developer. I don't think we're going to see like a huge wealth of these crypto games, but the ones that are able to succeed are going to really succeed, I think. Let's move on. Gems are another card pack, the Rift Watchers expansion, very similar mechanics, so we're just going to breeze by that. Tower Defense is a set of card packs that allow you to play this new tower defense game that they're trying to launch through a partner. It's not out yet. It looks like it's going to be interesting, but there's not really a whole lot of information about it. If you do want to learn more about it, it's on this page. Runi were a profile picture collection that Splinterlands launched that are pretty neat, and you get to actually stake them to a contract in order to play them in game, and they have pretty good stats. And so if you're looking to pick up a Runi, you can get them for about $250 on OpenSea right now if you're offer sniping like I've shown you in a previous video. The ability to kind of pick up these powerful cards that also have a profile picture attached to you that you can use in-game and kind of show off, I think is really sweet. And, it's not revolutionary or anything, but it's nice to have. And I'm glad that they thought of it, and it seemed well executed, so I'm happy for that. Licenses. All right, so this is where the passive income side of things really starts to pick up, because you are able to purchase a license for a validator node that then allows you to run some software, provide some processing power for the network, and vote on certain things. And so you're basically validating the blocks that go through Splinterlands and making sure that everything's okay. And you can buy as many licenses as you want, but you only have to run the software once, which that's something I really appreciate, because with Gala, you have to spin up like a VPS if you have more than one license, which that's kind of a first world problem. The licenses are really expensive. If you do happen to have more than one, it's kind of an issue. And so allowing the user to have no real limitations on these licenses, I think, is nice. And so I get about 45 SPS a day for my 2 licenses that I have, and a couple of vouchers. And the vouchers are a extra type of item that allow you to get in on pre-sales. And so that's just another layer of asset that they've added on here that allow you to really just create so much like decision making in the player and really capture them with these hard decisions. And so just another cool thing that I like about this. And potions are something that you can purchase that allow you to increase the odds of you getting good pulls in a card pack. So those are pretty much required for card packs, but they're not very expensive. Skins, they're kind of revamping this. This has been in the game for a while, but essentially you can just pay a few thousand dark energy crystals for a skin for some of the older cards. And so that's kind of fun. They're thinking about adding some rewards to that or something along those lines, but so far it's just for fun. And then there's also a guild store. So we had talked briefly about guilds before, but you can win in guilds and then use your winnings to buy special cards that you can only use inside of the guild, as well as some other stuff that allow you to get a one-up on enemy guilds. And so that kind of competitiveness and long-term goal building is really important for player retention. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the Splinterlands economy overview. So now why I think it's so successful, if you hadn't gathered by this point in the video, I think it's because of how many decisions that they can give to the player that are difficult. It's not cut and dry, like I just got to go do this and then I'm going to make all the money, right? Like so many games I think skip the actual economy design step and they just throw in a cryptocurrency and hope it goes to the moon. But this game has been around for quite a while. It's one of the, if not the oldest crypto game, and it's on the Hive engine, which used to be Steam. It's like a whole thing. And so they've been around for years now. And so they really know what they're doing. They've had time to kind of figure this stuff out, and they have a really good community that supports them and gives them good feedback. And so once you've built up that kind of loyal fan base and you're able to keep them enthralled for years, I don't see how you can fail. I mean, obviously they could have some kind of catastrophic backlash, like maybe they lose all customer funds or something crazy like that, but they've really done a good job here. And this is my favorite crypto game. It's so much fun to play. And I like the theory behind like, the economy and like what cards should I buy next, and oh, the new expansion came out, I got to get this stuff, or maybe I should wait and let the prices come down a little bit. And so there's all sorts of decisions that I'm making on a day-to-day basis that keep me engaged with the game and make sure that I'm always checking in to see what's coming out next. And that is really powerful. I think that is going to be that attention is going to be what defines crypto gaming and Web3 ecosystems going forward. So that's all I got for you guys today. Leave a comment below if you've got more questions for me on Splinterlands or more questions for me on this economy, and leave a like if you learned something. But that's all I got, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. We'll catch you in the next one.